Hello and welcome to my e-series, that is the e-book of radiography, which is covering the different type of radiological projections, different type of anatomical part that is radiographed. In terms of, it will have also details of a gross anatomy, indications, contraindication to start with the lecture, which are also contraindication for the radiation, and also the anatomical details, patient's positioning, and in which it can be modified. So it is going to be extremely useful guide for those who are going to take radiograph, maybe technology students, maybe the radiology boys, or maybe the workers of the radiology department. They can take care of patient in better ways. That is the main aim behind producing these ebooks. Now it is a part of Learn Radiology Basics with Dr. Anil Joshi series. The series has got multiple illustrations, multiple videos giving more detail, more information about the radiographic techniques, then radiology, in radiology different branches like CT, MRI, and also conventional radiography, different procedure. There are different videos prepared on that, and they all are available on this website. Now the present is a part of ebook which states about the imaging or radiography of cervical spine. At the onset, we want to acknowledge and disclaimers about certain things. Most of the material in this video used is so also we have radiograph shown in this series are our own. However, certain material is downloaded from it, which is royalty free and without any charges on it. So we are starting this lecture, which is going to be educational or beneficial to the students, and there are no commercial views behind all these things. However, the material or the opinion expressed in this should not be used as a medical legal point or should not be given anywhere as the references. It is purely meant as a part of teaching activity. Now radiography is a radiation modality. All the positive and negative aspects of radiation are there while doing radiography also. X-rays are beneficial. They are wonderful provided we follow certain discipline and we avoid certain things. There are indication, contraindication meant for this. So also there are aspects regarding radiation safety. Radiation safety is mainly because we are going to give more benefits without any significant or appreciable or recognizable side effects. That is to minimize the radiation as much as possible, to fall it in maximum permissible dose. So care will be taken to minimize the side effect of radiation by the technologist, to protect patients, staff in the radiography room, and to achieve maximum benefits without or restricting. We cannot say without side effects. There has to be certain side effects, but they can be minimized as much as possible. A strict discipline and precaution is must. There are different videos produced as far as radiation safety is concerned, and how to reduce the dose of the patient, how to protect patients from the radiation, that is to give a maximum benefit by reducing the certain side effects. So there are different videos prepared for that, and there are different illustrations available. Now all these things is achieved by a inverse square law that is governing the distance. So distance is an important factor for technologists as well as the organ that is radiographed. So as far as possible, barriers and shieldings are used to protect other parts which are not radiographed. And also we technologists make his level best to reduce the exposure dose, that is achieved by means of a minimum radiation dose by reducing the exposure timing, so also doing appropriate techniques and by minimizing the repetitions. So all these things are extensively covered in some other videos. Let's concentrate at cervical spine basic views. First is the AP view for the cervical spine. What are the indications? Indications are cervical pain or any pain in the region of cervical region, then vertigo, then goes atlantoaxial dislocation, then any suspicious any suspicion of cervical root compression, then goes as the post-traumatic patients. And there are a lot of indication in this that anything concerned or clinician is suspecting any pathology in cervical region are the indication for cervical spine as a baseline investigation. In that, patient can be sitting or he can be supine. Maximum turnover or fast is achieved when patients are standing. In supine position, it takes longer time for patient, number one. Number two, in standing position, we can complete all the projections of cervical spine radiography, which is not possible in supine position. Certain position need to be by sitting or standing position again, especially cervical spine lateral, because if we make patient prone or supine other way, a true lateral projection of cervical spine is usually difficult because of the anatomical limitations. Now central ray has to be at C2, C3, then there should not be angulation, that is angulation 0, then subject to source distance should be 100 centimeter, or you can say as the film to the X-ray tube should be 100 centimeter. Film size is 10 by 12 usually, and Bucky is most of the time used to get better pictures. If it is vertical, then we have to stick to non-Bucky or a stationary Bucky. By and large, a vertical X-rays are taken without Bucky, and those who are supine position are taken with the help of Bucky. Now, what are the important points in AP projection of the cervical spine? Is a vertebrae below C3 level are visualized, since the anatomical part like C1, C2 are overlapped and therefore difficult to distinguish. They overlap over the C1, C2 region, and we cannot really visualize the C1, C2 region in AP projection. The views with mandible in motion are in past, or they are now historical. What we used to do was give a longer exposure and ask patient to open his mouth slowly so that mandible moves like in this way. In that, you can project C1, C2 inside the mouth. We are going to see this when we'll be seeing the films. So also same technique can be achieved by elevating chin significantly or by giving certain cephalic angulation. With this maneuvering, you can see C1, C2 in better way. Otherwise, routine AP, they are difficult. C1, C2 region. Now line diagram of the cervical spine. Patient supine, say ray central. Then let's go to the video demonstrating how to take a cervical spine AP projection. Now here it is shown as the standing patient. Our department, we prefer it for rapid turnover. And second is, in the same position, we can project multiple film. Now cassette we are using here is a CR cassette. We have got both in our department CR and DR, but here we are using is a CR cassette. Here we are not using any Bucky, we are not using any grid. Patient should be straight, look forward, central ray should fall perpendicular to the table, or here it is the cassette. Now see, the shoulder has to be dropped, patient has to be pure AP, neck should not be tilted, and a chin is elevated little bit to get visualization of C1, C2. Now everything is checked and we can go for a exposure. Here I am showing you multiple radiographs. Now let us look at the first. First is with slight elevating the chin. Second is with a normal chin position. And third is, we are seeing it, you can see here, is hyperextension of neck. Now what hyperextension of neck has done is, you can see the foramina magnum and also C1, C2 region in it. So a proper visualization of entire cervical spine can be achieved by two techniques. One thing is by elevating a chin, and second is by giving angulation. But if we give angulation, there will be distortion of the vertebral bodies. That can be avoided by giving a small angle and by elevating chin little bit. Both these maneuvers gives an extent visualization of AP projection. Now second thing in AP projection are the cervical rib region. Now cervical rib region in AP sometimes shows better than when the neck is extended, because when the neck is extended you get lordosis at the cervical spine, and as you are seeing here, the cervical ribs will not be seen in this region as well as those who are seen in first film. So here the angle is straight. Here once you start elevating the angle, the cervical rib will not be properly visualized. So if you are aiming to see a cervical rib, hyperextension of the neck should not be done. Then cervical oblique. Now again here main indication are to see intervertebral foramina. They are usually encroached by the osteophyte. So to compare both side intervertebral foramina is a basic aim while taking oblique projections. And second is sometime for the better visualization of cervical ribs, if they are too tiny or obscured in the AP projection, we take oblique projections. But by and large they are mainly for the intervertebral foramina, then oncovertebral joint to see the degenerative changes in it, and sometime in traumatic patient to know the fragment encroaching this intervertebral foramina. These projections are indicated. In that, what is the patient position is usually right or left oblique as per clinician's indication. By and large both sides are taken so that we can get symmetrical view. Now these can be taken either in standing position or by supine position in the Bucky position. If we take on supine position, a Bucky picture can be taken, and if we take standing, usually it is without Bucky. Then angulation is 0 degrees. Then object distance, that is the film to cassette, is 100 centimeter. Objective distance is a subjective word, descriptive word. Film size is 10 by 12, and Bucky is optional as I told you. But if you want to have an oblique projection very clearly, you need to have a Bucky that gives a good picture. Now let's see, it is standing position. We are going for a cervical spine oblique. Instruction to the patient. Yes, a technician is given to the patient. Now he has made patient oblique. It is a 45 degrees angulation. Sometime we show a patient instead of just moving him with the hands. Yes, he has done it correct. Neck is straight, 45 degrees angulation. Now a tube is adjusted, a centering is made at C1, C2 level. Patient should not move, should not look here and there, he should be straight. Then push the collimator in such a way that only the area of interest will be exposed without exposing other parts. So it is extremely important to see that full collimator is never kept. Now a senior person will come and do the collimation work. It will be collimated so that entire spine will not be exposed. Only cervical region we are exposing. We are not interested in exposing dorsal spine because it will not be seen clearly also in this projection. Now again we are seeing same. Earlier you must have seen that it was with 45 degrees angulation. Here we are seeing it with very minimal angulation. So angulation depends on what part you want to radiograph. Sometimes it is the intervertebral foramina, sometimes it is these are the hypophyseal joints. So these positions, see the advantages of erect position or standing position is you can take both the projection in same sitting. So also if you want to take lateral also, you can take in same way. So you can take AP, lateral, both obliques. If patient is standing, it's very easy, very convenient and fast for turnover. So as I told you, the central is routine lateral. So routine lateral you do not see intervertebral foramina. Now see the oblique, you are start seeing the intervertebral foramina, this side. So also you can see hypophyseal joints properly. So these are all intervertebral foramina. So best visualization of intervertebral foramina can be achieved only by the oblique radiograph. A lateral radiograph will tell you about the disc spaces, vertebral bodies, etc. But If cervical cord compression is suspected or cervical root compression is suspected, there is no alternative than to take a oblique projection. These are the must. So also it gives good visualization of the cervical rib if it is present, or you can rule it out 100% by cervical oblique. Sometimes, as I told you, technically the disc space or the cervical rib may not be visualized due to technical factor or because of angulation. Now let us come to cervical spine lateral. What are the indication? Are cervical pain, assessment of intervertebral disc. The best assessment of intervertebral disc are in lateral projection. The earliest changes of cervical spondylosis are seen in AP projection at epiphyseal joints. So these are the main indications. How you want information, you advise investigation accordingly, whether you want cervical, AP and lateral, or oblique also. By and large, AP and lateral goes together, obliques are optional or they are taken as per the indication separately. A routine investigation of cervical spine has got only two, that is cervical spine, AP and lateral. Now standing or supine, even you can take supine with shoot through. Now these are important in traumatic patient where cervical spine cannot be moved. Cervical spine is fixed or it should not be moved. There can be more injuries to the cord or to the nerves. So in that condition, a shoot through technique is employed for taking a lateral. Second best advantage is patient is in same supine position. You take AP, you just turn the tube and you go for the lateral. In same sitting, both are possible. Angulations are 0 degrees. Distance is 100 centimeter. Bucky is optional. Now what are the important points? To obtain proper visualization of C7, the patient has to drop his shoulder as much as possible in lateral position. Therefore, sitting, if it is sitting, then patient can hold the edges of the stool. It is easy for getting shoulders down. Or if he is standing, though we are preferring this position for the reason in this position it is easy to pull down shoulder with the help of sandbags in patient's hand. So patient holds sandbag in both his hands and that can lower the shoulders, giving good visualization of C7. Otherwise C7 will not be seen. One of the criteria of good lateral is it should show C7. That should be shoulder should be down. It can also be achieved by patient's cooperation. If patient can just lower his shoulders and gets it back and both his hands ties to each other behind. So in that way also you can get good visualization of the C7. Then patient's neck should be perpendicular to his shoulders. Otherwise there will be a rotation which radiologists will not like while reporting. Then care is taken since cervical spine is at considerable distance from the film. So what that does is it's a magnification, because the distance between cervical spine and the film is more. So that will give a, so to repeat again, the distance between cervical spine and film in this projection lateral is more. That will cause magnification. So whatever are the technical error will get magnified on the film. So that has to be overcome by a proper technique. Now these are the line diagram as far as lateral projections are concerned, and this is a lateral projection. What you see here is the posterior arch. You can see a spinous process, then superior articular process, articular pillars are there, then epiphyseal joint. See 5-6 epiphyseal joint is very important because that will give you early changes of cervical spondylosis. Then vertebral foramina, that will not be seen properly in this projection. Then anterior arch of atlas, then is the trachea, internal discs and body of C7. If body of C7 is seen means the radiograph is technically correct. Now this is the video for the lateral. First instruction to the patient. Now here see, neck has to be perpendicular to the body. The distance to the cassette has to be parallel. If that is not the case, you have to check it. Now see how the hand position, shoulders are pulled down and hands are held behind over the back. In that position you get good visualization of C7. Otherwise we have to give sandbags in the hand of patient so that the shoulders will be pulled down. So this is a correct technical X-ray. Now additional work of cervical spine sometimes needs a flexion and extension radiographs. The flexion and extension radiographs are taken only after the basic AP and lateral are taken as per the indication. So what are these indications? These radiographs are taken in patients where high cervical pathology is suspected. However, patients are stable. Now I repeat again, unless patients are stable, unless a proper assessment is done, in case where there is a high cervical pathology, particularly traumatic, is concerned, this X-ray should not be tried. They are contraindicated in patients with acute injury. Don't try for it unless you go for a routine shoot-through lateral where patient neck don't need to be moved. You can take with shoot-through film a lateral projection, get it read by a radiologist. Unless he feels it that flexion extension radiographs are essential, please do not attempt it. They are not taken, they are contraindicated. If at all these are to be taken in a stable patient, utmost care has to be again taken to see that movements will not cause dislocation, cord compression due to flexion or extension movements. Radiographs are taken with shoot-through technique to be on safer side. So these are extremely important where the flexion extension should not be tried as far as possible in traumatic patient. Please avoid them. Please do not go for a flexion extension. Take a lateral radiograph. Come to know where the pathology is, and most of the time it may not be indicated also or may not be required also. Then let us see how the flexion and extension radiographs are taken. So this is a 10x12 cassette put in a vertical holder. Patient is given all instructions before. This is an extension radiograph. As I told you, be 100% sure that it will not cause any additional problems. Patient's clinical condition has to be seen. A radiologist has to be around preferably. Take first a lateral and be sure that there are no problems. Now see this. The head is extended. Total extension will cause extension radiograph. By and large, what we take routine are the neutral, that is neither flexion nor extension. Now while you are flexing, sometime you might have to put a horizontal cassette if the areas are being cut. Here they are fitting well, so even 10x12 can project it. Secondly, a proper focus at C1 C2 region. Yes, he has checked it and he has corrected whatever was the rotations. Yes, now rotations are corrected, cassette is placed in well in place, and we can go for a radiograph. Everything is fine. So you can go for a exposure or shoot. That's fine. Very good. Now let's come to cervical lateral radiographs. As I told you, the criteria C7 should be seen. Intervertebral disc should be seen properly. There should not be any distortion of the vertebral bodies. There are two good landmarks. One is angle of mandible. Here they should overlap. Angle of mandible should overlap. Here there is slight distortion. Okay, that is acceptable. And intervertebral disc spaces should be clearly seen. They should be clearly seen. Posterior osteophytosis is another thing which should be seen very clearly in this. So one thing is vertebral body, shape of the vertebral body, disc spaces, and also the posterior osteophytosis should be seen. Now these are the cervical spine lateral in flexion, upper two. See, this is a flexion to different patients. Now this is mainly area of interest C1, C2 in usual cases, and sometime you will have to go for other vertebral bodies, but C1, C2 subluxation, dislocation is mainly a concern in all these radiographs. You are seeing flexion, neutral, This is a flexion, this is a flexion, this is a flexion, this is a neutral, this is a neutral, and this is a extension. So these radiographs tell you the idea how the cervical spine lateral are neutral, flexion, or in extension. We have tried to cover projections of cervical spine. We have also given you warnings that if C1, C2 pathology is suspected, if patient has got acute trauma, the flexion and extension radiographs are contraindicated. First, go for a lateral film. If it suffices the diagnosis, the further radiographs will not be required, and they should be taken with proper understanding of the pathology, number one, and in presence of a senior radiologist or the referring doctor who should be there while the x-rays are taken, since they have got a high risk of dislocation and causing cord compression. With this, I thank you for giving me your valuable time. Please note, radiology is not a race, it's a process. Be a part of this process and enjoy the feast of knowledge. I am Dr. Anil Joshi logging off till we meet again. Here I have given you idea not only about the radiographs but also to know what a good radiograph should be, what are the drawbacks, how you see that radiograph is optimum, and how you see that how to obtain them. Not only that, you will have to know what a clinician wants. You have to see that your document speaks about it, and you have to see that patient is not put in a risk or in discomfort. You have to take precaution to save from radiation your patient as well as your staff by the principle which we have spoken early. I acknowledge with thanks and gratitude my mentors, that is the management of BLDE Deemed University. All this work has been done in the Sri B.M. Patil Hospital, Medical College and Research Work, Vijayapur. I acknowledge with thanks also the staff of Radio Diagnosis Department for their active participation, and IT Department and Photography Department, without the help of whom this project should not have been possible. Thank you, take care and give your best to the patient. Take care of you, your patients, your staff, and those who are depending on these are the patient attendants. Thank you.